Hello, visionary leaders. How are you today? I want to ask you a question because I have an intuition that a lot of you are very ambitious. And I have noticed something with ambitious people is, and I just want to know if that's true for you. Do you sometimes feel frustrated that things are not moving fast enough? I mean, I know you're good, you know how to master your emotion, but don't you feel this emotion where you have this vision of where things could be and you observe around you, you notice that you're not completely there yet? And it feels like you're doing everything right, but you're not supported enough. You're trying things and it's not succeeding as fast as you can. But in your head, it's going so much faster. That's the thing of being a visionary. You're seeing things 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, maybe 100 years ahead. You're like so visionary that you suffer. You suffer from seeing the reality you live in when you're seeing in your head the reality you could be living in. And therefore you set these goals to get there. And let me phrase it this way, that I feel sometimes, and I see my clients, the people around me, very ambitious, and that happens to them. We end up being the slave of our goals. What do I mean by that? Well, why do you set a goal? You set a goal because you believe, and it's just a belief, you don't have any proof of that, but you believe that if you manage to achieve that goal, you'll create more happiness for you. I mean, you can call it any way you want. You feel it's satisfaction, it's pride, it's fulfillment, success. But in other words, let's call things bluntly, simply, happiness. You'll feel it, tension being relieved because you're like, I made it. So you set these goals. And again, if you're very visionary, this goal is very far in the future. It's bold. It will take time to get there. Even if you're very talented and you have the best team around you, like look at Elon Musk, he wants to go to Mars. It takes time. It takes time. But what do I mean by you become the slave of your goal? Well, you work for your goal. You have set these goals for you to create more happiness for you, but it might happen that you start working for your goal. And I emphasize like the for, not towards, not that you work for your goal. You're at the service of that goal. That means that your goal is telling you what to do. It's like it's the boss telling you how do you approach things, how much you should work and how much you should keep investing every day, getting there, falling and standing back up and getting back at it. But at the end, like you're really working for your goal, not for yourself anymore. Like it is possible. I'm not saying it's your case, but I know from personal experience, and from seeing a lot of clients going through this, and people around me, my peers, my mentors too, that we end up so obsessed about getting to that goal that we suffer. We suffer because we are feeling that it's not going fast enough, and therefore we suffer. Like, let's put it again, I love simplifying. If you feel a frustration of like, some form of anger maybe, when things are not going the way you want, you're in suffering. And you might not call it like this. It's frustration. It's, damn, this team, they never get it. My clients, they don't get it. My employers, they don't get it. But it's a frustration. Let's call things. And you know what? I feel there might even be some pride. There might be some pride linked to having this frustration, because I feel that if I'm not frustrated, I'm not ambitious. I'm not aiming high enough. I'm not wanting these massively outstanding, extraordinary life. And, and therefore, I might become, and it's not my words, but I remember so many times what at events and masterminds, and there was this debate of people when I was talking about like being happy, again calling it bluntly, and satisfied with what you have, and there was this constant fear that if I'm happy, I will stop doing, i.e., I'll become lazy. Well, that makes sense. If I'm happy today, why would I work? Why would I even move my ass off the couch if I'm satisfied with the situation I'm in and I don't have this frustration, this desire, this pulling, this calling to go towards that goal? If I don't have this strong emotion that gets me moving, then I won't do anything. And what's interesting is every time I had this conversation with very ambitious people, it seemed to me that they were consciously choosing to be unhappy because they were afraid that if they would be happy, they would stop doing. Yet, the doing was not making them happier because they were not there yet. And so there was like a kind of a paradox, because then like, well, why are you going towards that goal? Because it will make me happy. But what if you were choosing to be happy right now? But then I would not go to that goal. But then you would be happy right now. Yes, but I want to be happy there. And don't get me wrong, I love ambitious people. I surround myself with ambitious people. I believe myself to be very ambitious. But I'm very aware of the danger of becoming too obsessed with reaching my goal and being constantly unsatisfied by not being there yet. I'm constantly reminding myself that it's okay, it's just like enjoy the process and all these things that we hear. And I know I'm just talking about that today. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about enjoying the process. But I want to make it practical. Okay, so maybe I should have said that at the very beginning of this video, but I want to share it with you 3 steps so that you can keep being freaking ambitious, but still be happy today as much as possible. Because that's the end goal. Again, if you're not aiming for a goal that will make you happier than you are today, why the heck are you going towards that goal? Question that goal. Seriously, if you haven't decided for a goal, maybe like you let society, your parents, your family, the surrounding around you decide for you that you were supposed to go towards that goal. But don't. If you don't see yourself being happier there, seriously don't. Now, if you see yourself being happier there, cool, we have a good start. But let's not forget how to be happy on the journey towards that goal. So, the first thing that I was preparing this video, and I said, what causes this frustration? And obviously, there's like the external world, everyone not working the way we want, obviously. But I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about where does this frustration comes from? Like physically, there's something physical that happens in me that I notice, and I said that already earlier, but I want to make it very clear right now. The frustration, the pain, the tension starts when my head, like my mind, my visionary spirit, sees something that is possible, and my physical eyes see a very different reality. So there's a gap between what I envision and feel is possible and the reality I'm experiencing right now. Does it make sense? So when there's a difference between the expectation and the reality, simply put, this frustration starts. And the more ambitious you are, the more you see a reality possible, a possible reality that is far from the reality you're living in. And that's why you're ambitious. That's why you're a visionary. That's why you're a leader. That's why people want to follow you, because you're seeing something that we don't see. Make sense? Now, I don't want to believe that every visionary leader is condemned for eternity to suffering while getting everybody to heaven. You know what I mean? I believe it's possible to get everybody to this better world without suffering throughout the journey. So let me now walk you through these 3 steps. I've observed, I practice, I teach my clients to do this, I work with companies to do this. It's how do you break it down so that it's possible to enjoy the process? And again, I know, okay, wait a second. Let's slow down. I know that if now you listening this video, this podcast, you're very ambitious, you might start to feel like a resistance that, okay, now we're going to talk about how to be happy now, and therefore, no. I'm really, because I want you to keep on moving. But I want to act from a place of, I'm happy where I am, and I'm happy getting where I want to go. And if I'm not getting there, I'm still happy. I'm just enjoying going there. But I will still fight for it. I will give my best. But if I don't get there, I enjoy giving my best. So the very first step I want to emphasize on is, I notice how much it's easy to obsess on mean goals. What I mean by that is, let's say I just recently decided I want to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Okay, I have like 50 now. I decided, okay, I want to have 1 million followers on YouTube. But the real vision I have is also to have a retreat center, like a permanent schools with 200 students approximately all year round, probably maybe different locations. Well, that's an end goal. I'll be freaking exciting to have that, to run that, to have created that. Now, that's something is not going to happen tomorrow, whether it's 1 million subscribers on LinkedIn or the school with the 200 people. So everything I do, like creating a video like this, or talking about my YouTube channel, or creating an online community, could feel like an intermediate, a mean goal towards that end destination. And if you're just having intermediate goals, it gets extremely tiring. For example, you say, I want to make 20K this month, 100K this month, and every single step is like contacting people, sending messages, going on sales calls. And as long as you don't close, you don't feel satisfied, you will feel a lot of frustration, because the end goal is also out of your control. But first of all, I want to go back to the idea of end goal. So to create end goals, you want to have, along the journey of 1 million subscribers on YouTube, or like 100K a month, or having a physical place to welcome people and host events, you want to create a lot of intermediate goals that feel like an end on their own. Make sense? You want a goal that if you do get there, if you achieve that, and only that, and you were not to go any further, you would feel extremely satisfied. I'll give you an example. For my school with 200 people, when I organized my first retreat with 15 people, I was extremely happy. If nothing had happened, if I were to die the day after having hosted that retreat, I would have felt completed. This did not feel like, obviously it is an intermediate goal. It is something, a mean goal towards that bigger vision, but still on its own, it gave me so much satisfaction, so much reward. Does that make sense? So what I want to say here is, how do we create exciting goals along the journey? How do we create a goal that is on its own, if I finish and that's the only thing I do, even if I don't get any further, I will be very happy with doing this. And I want to say, all these things I'm going to say later on, the next two steps, are way less important than that. If you can create a series of goals that get you closer and closer and closer and closer to your final vision, yet you enjoy completing all of these tasks as much as you would enjoy getting to the end goal, you will create massive satisfaction, because every single time, and also massive drive, because now you're not having like a reward that will come 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years from now. You can have a reward that is like 2 weeks from now, maybe 2 hours from now. Which leads me to the second point, and this one is very similar in a way, and I already kind of mentioned it. It's about creating as many goals as possible that lay under our control. Obviously, if I say I want to make 100K of sale this month, I don't have full control of whether or not people will buy. I have control of whether or not I will show up, I will call people, I will reach out to people, I will make the sales call, I will give my best, I will design the best offer, I will do all these things. That's under my control. But whether or not they say yes, at certain point, falls out of my control. What I can control is I can improve, I can learn the best tools, I can reach out to the best sales coach, I can reach out to money mindset coach, I can reach out to people that can help me with my marketing. But in the end, I cannot make people force them to sign. And if there's something outside of my control that creates these bad results for me, I cannot let that affect my joy of getting closer to my goal. So actually here, as you see, it's not so much about changing the goal as it is about changing where do you put your focus. And that's something I've been working with my clients that I love. And I give you a very concrete example now. I tell people who want to make more sales that they have to make an offer that is bold for them, like multiply by 2, 3, 4, 5 their current pricing of the maximum offer. Let's say you sell for 2K, go sell for 10, you sell for 10, go sell for 50, whatever. But you have to go make that offer to 5 people, and you're not allowed to speak to me again without giving me 5 no's. If no, you didn't get 5 people telling you no, you haven't done your homework. Now, see, there's something here where I shifted their perspective, because now they don't have the yes, which is out of their control. They have to get a no, which feels way more under their control, because they feel like they're getting a lot of no. But the truth is they're getting a lot of maybe, I have to think about it, let's talk later, which is very different from a no. Because to get to a no, you have to push the person to say, well, actually, I commit to my no. You help the person, so it is still coaching, it is still sales, but you have to come up. The truth is, like, disclaimer alert, most of them don't come up with 5 no's because they come up with yeses. But because I make it under their control, and say your goal now is to learn, not to get someone to say yes to your service, but it's to have someone to learn what are people's objections. Why do people don't want to join you, don't want to trust you, don't want to work with you? You got to find that out. Now that is way more under their control, and they're winning every single time, because if they learn, they will be better for the next goal. But if the person says yes, well, they have a sale. I can tell you, they're pretty happy about that in general. Actually, all the time. So you're just shifting that I'm not aiming for success, I'm aiming for progress. And these shifts is so much more under your control because progress is under your control. Success, not 100%. So when you're focusing on progress versus success, obviously you will get a lot more successes because if you keep on progressing, eventually you'll succeed, that's certain. But you also get satisfied with every progress you make and not only when you get a success. Does that make sense? Because you say, like, if I don't succeed, I learn. Therefore, either way, I'm winning. So the second step is to focus on what's under your control. And one clear step I gave you here is to focus on progress. But because I've had this conversation with so many people in the past, I know there's one big resistance. And that's where the biggest addiction to the frustration lays. The first people use frustration as a driver. This negative emotion of saying, I'll prove them I can do it, or I'll prove myself I can do it. I won't let the universe tell me what I can or can't do, I'll do it. So they use this frustration, this negative emotion as a drive. And obviously, pain is a massive driver. But when you use pain as your only driver, you stay in pain. Because then you feel like, if I don't have pain, I won't move. Therefore, you're addicted to pain to get moving. So the shift I want to give here now is then the fear of people that say, well, but if I don't have pain, I won't do the things that are the hard. I won't do the hard work, like the pride they take in hard work, which starts to feel, and they communicate often that success is rewarding hard work. It has to be painful. And I'm like, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I buy into this. I mean, I'm sure it works for certain people, but when my feeling when I observe them is they have a very narrow amount of time where they're satisfied, and it's only the moment they succeed. The rest of the time, they're in their suffering. Make sense? So here the trick of this third step is to anticipate rewards. And when you do anticipate the reward, the work is not hard anymore. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples actually. The first one is languages. I speak 12 languages, and when I was teaching languages and when I was talking so much about how I do that, how I managed to do this, there was one thing I observed, and I spent a lot of time studying when I was in the countries traveling where people were enjoying and going around. But I was enjoying every morning waking up, looking through my list of vocabulary, learning like 20, 30, 50 words a day, and feeling extremely proud in that moment because I knew I was going to be rewarded very soon. It was under my control. I knew that if I learned my 50 words because I knew what worked and what did not work, I would manage to have a conversation with someone and have someone smile at me, people gifting me food, inviting me to their home because I was speaking their language. So I would have so many rewards. So when I was learning the vocabulary, even if it felt hard for a bit, I was already seeing myself at the end and feel like, oh, I'm in for this. Does that make sense? So another example I use is hiking. And when I was teaching languages, I used to use this metaphor of like struggling versus effort, like struggle versus effort. What's the difference? Like, it can be physically the exact same thing. But this in struggle is when we don't know whether or not we will make it. In effort, like you're like, yeah, it's going to pay off. So it has to do with how much you see yourself succeeding. If you already see yourself succeeding and being rewarded, you're not struggling anymore. You're making the necessary efforts to get to where you want to go. But it feels like struggle when you don't know and when you doubt. So in this last step, what I want to share is you got to train yourself to anticipate reward. That's why you want to also make it closer and not have a vision and reward like 20 years from now, but a reward that is as close as possible from you. And so I was using the metaphor of hiking and saying, well, if you're used to hiking and you have to go on a big climb, a big hike, it might feel tiring for the body and demanding, but you know the view you will have on the summit, you know you will get there, you know how much time it will take you to get up there. You have these anticipation, and throughout the way, the moments it feels a bit hard, you're like, it's okay, I know how much time I have left, I know how much effort it will take. I know. Whereas someone who doesn't hike, who might go on like the same journey, like they go as friends, and taking this friend who never hikes with him, this other dude might complain the whole way. Because it's like, are we there yet? Are we gonna make it? Can we have a break? I don't know, can we turn around? Because that second person doesn't anticipate the view at the end and just sees the journey and how much distance there is. Actually, they don't know, so they make it even bigger. Have you noticed actually that when you go to a place for the first time, it always feels further than when you are used to going there? Any place. When you're used to going there, you just do it on autopilot, so you're not thinking, so it feels closer. So this third step is to create a habit. If you've not gone there yet, you have to do it with visualization. You have to do it with mental practice, closing your eyes, seeing yourself there. I lead and practice so much visualization because I feel like it's one of the crucial elements, because once you see yourself there, you feel how you would feel there, you're already there. So whatever is on the way, you're like, it doesn't matter, I'm already there. So you're anticipating that reward. The same way when I was studying my vocabulary, I was already feeling the smile of the people when I would be speaking their language. So therefore, I was thrilled and I could put in all the effort. So I want to recap. The reason I wanted to share here is because it bothers me. You know, and I was thinking as I was saying it that, oh, there's a pain as I was saying it, but it's okay. I acknowledge it. But it bothers me, or it tickles me. Let's say it like that. It tickles me to see that ambitious people, so many ambitious people feel like they need to suffer for them to get what they want, and therefore might get where they want, but will have suffered throughout the way. And other people that would love to be ambitious but feel it would be too much work to be ambitious and to get to this don't move because they feel like, oh, it's going to be painful to get there. So if I can be happy and satisfied where I am, I can just not do things. And they would not say that, but stay in mediocrity. That's what the ambitious person says. So I want to marry these two, make them like fall in love with each other and say, oh, what if I could just enjoy fully the process? And I want to recap that there are ways. I've practiced that, I practice that, and I will keep on improving practicing that and teaching that so that we can be extremely ambitious. Why not even more ambitious than we are? Because we're not attached to whether or not we get there. That's why you lead a 100-year vision, like you know you're not going to get there, but what is the general direction you want to go? And have this detachment and then enjoy completely the process, enjoy the journey by creating a lot of rewards on the way. And say, if I don't make it to the end, I really enjoy it and I enjoyed getting closer. So the very first step, create end goals all the way on the journey. Goals that on their own feel fully satisfying. Whether or not you make it to the end of your journey, you're happy with having made progress. Which leads me to the second part. focus on what is under your control. As I just said, if you focus on progress versus success, you will, by design, generate more success for you, but also you will win either way. Because either you have a success, you feel like, oh, I've made progress because that's why I'm rewarded with success, or I didn't, so therefore I can learn something and I will progress. And therefore I win. Either way you win because you focus on what's under your control and not what the outer world allows you to create in that very moment. And finally, if you want to go through these hard work, hard tasks, and you still have to do them because no one will do them for you, what if you shifted your perspective and actually made them enjoyable by anticipating the reward you get at the end of completing the task? And therefore you're like, oh, I'm enjoying doing this because I see what it will lead me to and the satisfaction I will have at the end of this. Cool? So create a lot of angles, focus on what's under your control and therefore focus on progress. And anticipate the reward as much as possible, visualization, seeing yourself there, whatever tools you have, so that you enjoy even doing the hard work. Cool? Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode. I hope this was valuable for you, that you got something out of this and you will be more ambitious and more happy on the journey from the tools I've shared. If there's anything that resonated more than something else, please share it. Please reach out to me. That inspires me to know what you want to hear from me. I'm here to serve. I do this for myself, but when I do this video is so that other people can learn from the mistakes I've made and from all the practice I have with my clients, so they can serve more people. All right? So reach out to me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the podcast, give it a like, a comment, share it, and thank you so much for committing to your growth. Visionary leaders, I love you. You're the ones changing the world and inspiring others that they can do that too. So thank you so much for watching, for listening, and I'll be seeing you very soon. In the meantime, keep shining and live your passion. Talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.